Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this magnificent Monday for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you guys are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m, we try and figure out what is going on with the cryptocurrency market and also the external markets around it that we've seen a real correlation with Bitcoin take place. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. It's going to be a bit of a different video. We've been playing a lot of clips recently. Really looking at a number of things, looking at the fall of the US dollar, how we're seeing nations move away from it, looking at actually what fundamentally Bitcoin brought to the table and the questions that it raised in regards to the traditional banking system. We looked at some really interesting clips from Milton Friedman and Frederick Hayek, essentially predicting Bitcoin 30 years prior to its existence and saying how an e-cash or the decentralization of money is a worthy pursuit. And these are both huge advocates of the fact that government shouldn't have anything to do with the monetary system. Anyway, so we are going to be playing a number of clips. We've got a clip here from Trump recently talking about America losing the war to China in regards to the kind of currency war. You know, the US dollar has bolstered America as the kind of leading superpower. And if they lose that battle, that has some pretty significant ramifications. We're seeing a huge push away from the US dollar. We've looked at lots of things to do with this. And then I also want to play a clip from 1994 talking about the internet. And actually, we are living through the same technological revolution today with blockchain. We keep referring to this article. We published it when it first came out, and we've referenced it ever since. Wells Fargo published an article talking about digital assets, a world of possibilities. And they compare the internet with the internet of value, which we have today, which, of course, is blockchain. So to start the video off, as always, guys, let's jump into the technicals. You guys know that we have a plan. We've had a plan since the start of the year, and it has came together beautifully. Ultimately, my prediction for the cryptocurrency market is that over the next 6+ months, you are going to have an uptrend take place. I do believe this is an uptrend. We've done lots of looking at lots of different things. Key level to note is the fact that we're at 30K. Expect some sort of resistance here. You can see just how significant it's been, and the likelihood is that it's going to be significant here. And actually, my base case is that you're going to get some sort of resistance here that could lead to, you know, maybe revisiting levels like this before you set up for that continuation. 35K is where I think Bitcoin's heading, and then I think it's eventually going to go higher. However, we're targeting 35K for now. We've had this target since way down here. And ultimately, you know, we've generated that technically, and now, since the start of the year, we've really had a kind of a macro view take place. Because of the banking crisis, we've seen this bear market be essentially, and I don't know why I didn't incorporate the FTX spiller, be basically caused by tight monetary policy. We've seen it across the board. Now, for the first time since this bear market started, as a result of Silicon Valley Bank, we saw the Fed inject, and we played a couple of clips of Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen and all these great things. We saw the US inject money, and people like to say it isn't QE. In my opinion, anytime you inject money into the economy, that is QE. As a result of Silicon Valley Bank, we saw them kind of loosen this tight policy and actually add to the balance sheet in the first time. Balance sheet's correlated with the money supply. Money supply, of course, is correlated with the markets. So Yellen says US banks may tighten lending and negate needs for more Fed hikes. So the interesting thing is we do have a 25 basis point rate hike priced in, or not priced in, estimated for the next meeting. And actually you had BlackRock come out and say they think there's going to be another 3 rate hikes. Here you have Yellen saying there's no need for that because bank lending may be tight. And actually, the banking crisis, in my opinion, is far from over. We've always said this when it flared up. We said they'll call it off, window of opportunity, and then it will flare up and likely be what the yield curve is predicting, which is big banks in the US failing, in my opinion, and mass debt default. This was exceptionally interesting. A little bit of UK news here, but it applies to the situation at large. Bank of England consider major reform of deposit guarantee scheme. Oh no. UK financial services compensation scheme faces review after failure of Silicon Valley Bank. The Bank of England is considering an overhaul of its deposit guarantee scheme, including boosting the amount of covered the amounts covered for businesses and forcing banks to pre-fund the system to a greater extent to ensure faster cash to when lenders collapsed. Wow, isn't that interesting? When lenders collapse. The UK Financial Services Compensation Scheme is being urgently reviewed. Ooh, urgently. After a rapid failure of Silicon Valley Bank last month when billions were withdrawn in panic of SPV, UK subsidiaries overnight. People briefly on briefed on BOE thinking, told the Financial Times. So, this article hints at more banks to fail. The banking system is done. We think the US dollar is done, and the US dollar is central to the current banking system that we have globally. We're seeing huge pushes away from this. I want to play this clip of Trump. Now, whether you like Trump or not, nobody asked. I always get this. I'm not here defending him. I'm not here slating him. I'm just saying this was very interesting what he had to say. And actually, this is something that's been echoed across the board with the likes of BRICS and so on and so forth. But let's play the clip because it is very relevant. Remember what we're doing here with Bitcoin. This is why we've played clips of Milton Friedman and Frederick Hayek, is we're trying to oppose the financial government-controlled fiat systems. Because anytime you involve government in monetary, anytime you allow the government to delegate and control anything, they ruin it. UK is a great example. It is downright criminal what's going on with the individual, what is being done to the citizens in the UK, US, and a lot of the other Western nations in regards to taxation and all this other stuff. But let's play the clip, guys, before I go down that deep dive rabbit hole and depress everybody on this Monday.
China wants to change the standard, the currency standard. And if that happens, that's like losing a world war. We'll be a second-tier country. We'll literally be a second-tier country if that happens. Now, you're losing Brazil. You're losing Colombia, South America. You're losing Iran. You've lost it. You've lost Russia. And if you haven't lost them yet, you're going to lose them. China's on the yuan, so China's gone. Then you see France going over. No, what's going on? We're losing. If we lose our currency, that's the equivalent of losing a world war. Our currency is what makes us powerful and strong.
Yeah, and March 2020 was an event that will go down in history because of the ramifications that it's brought onto the wider economic landscape. It's unprecedented. I looked at March 2020 as an event briefly yesterday, and how are we going to get something as significant as that for the next crash in the next yield curve? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But it's very interesting what's going on right now, and it largely furthers Bitcoin's cause. You know, when you have Yellen coming out and saying, Hillary Clinton coming out and saying Bitcoin is a threat, it absolutely is. Crypto is a threat. That's what it's here to do. Threaten your Ponzi scheme and highlight just how much of a Ponzi scheme it is. Because it totally is. I mean, you have... Imagine right now, let's say I'm talking to you at the other end of the computer. You're in control of the entire monetary system, and you can decide when you want to print it, who you want to give it to, and what you want to do with it. You basically govern everybody in that country's life. That's how important it is. We're in a financial bondage, guys, and we're here to help you break out of it. And it's exceptionally interesting what's going on with the US dollar and people moving away with it, saying we've had enough and going against the scream. So I don't think the banking crisis is over. I think the banking crisis is actually what's going to fuel Bitcoin getting to 40 plus K. And actually, it's going to be a form of liquidity, in my opinion, that's going to bolster all the markets. And we've seen that thus far with what's happened with Silicon Valley Bank and the response of the Fed. Let's play this clip of the early internet, guys. Quick look at the Wells Fargo article, and then I'll love and leave you to your Mondays.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway, a high-capacity digital communications network. What that would mean is you could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre, with the odd stock exchange and shopping centre thrown in. It sounds pretty grand, But it all comes down to computers communicating. And in fact, that's already happening on something called the Internet, that anyone in the world with a computer and a modem to connect it to a telephone line can subscribe to. There are over 20 million people connected up. And one person in particular I know is connected is the American President, Bill Clinton. And I know that because I used this computer to write to him today, and I've already got a reply from the White House. And here it is, right. Thank you for writing to President Clinton via electronic mail. The President is committed to integrating this dynamic medium into the White House. And it goes on to give some details of his government's policy to encourage the building of information superhighways.
Isn't it interesting? They don't seem to be doing the same thing with Bitcoin and crypto, and I think that's because of the actual threat. I think if the government had seen all the leaks and stuff like that, they'd have probably treated the internet with a little bit more caution.
Now, I can't electronically mail our Prime Minister, John Major, because he hasn't got a modem, and I can't find out what his government's policy on information superhighways is, because it hasn't got one, at least nothing beyond the usual thing of leaving it to market forces. But you can do more than just send messages on the internet. There's loads of useful information.
Anyway, we know what the internet is. It's just very interesting, totally comparable. You know, Wells Fargo, and I keep bringing this up, and I'm going to continue to do so. We believe digital assets are transformative innovation on par with the internet, cars, and electricity. Wow. Oddly, they may be one of the easier transformative innovations to grasp at this early stage. The reason is that they have a present comparable to the internet. Very interesting, guys. We've covered a lot in 12 minutes. So on that note, I am going to love and leave you. We have a plan. We're sticking to it. Expect resistance at 30k, guys. You know, there's a number of other reasons, which I won't go into here, why we're expecting resistance at 30k. Ultimately, good luck out there if you're playing the markets. I don't think you want to bet against the trend. Long and strong, I think, is the motto. All I've got for you. See you in the next one. If you enjoyed the content, like, appreciate it, a comment. Feel free to check out my Patreon. Catch you in the next.